Hi, this is Miss Scoggins, and today we're talking about dangling misplaced modifiers. So why this is important. Normally in class we only talk about the things that you are supposed to do in grammar. We look at author sentences and we figure out what's great about them and what we're going to incorporate into our writing. But today we're talking about a grammar don't, something that we're not supposed to be doing. And this is something that can easily happen when you're trying to make those more complex sentences. And it's also something that you could see on your SAT or your ACT, which you'll be taking this year. So it's very important that we discuss this. Okay, definition. A dangling modifier is a phrase or clause that either modifies no word in the sentence or is modifying the wrong word in the sentence. So these sentences lack coherence. What is coherence? Coherence is logic. So these sentences are not logical, and usually they give an unintended or even funny meaning because their meaning is not what was intended. So here is our first example. The sentence says, leaving Starbucks, the foamy latte fell and exploded all over the sidewalk. So first I want to talk about what is the modifier. In this sentence we have a dependent clause and an independent clause. You'll remember that independent clauses are clauses that can stand on their own. So which part of this sentence is the modifier? What is adding detail to this sentence? Leaving Starbucks is the modifier. And the rest of the sentence can stand on its own, so that is an independent clause. It has a subject and a verb. So the foamy latte fell and exploded all over the sidewalk. That's the full sentence. Which noun does leaving Starbucks seem to modify? And really I'm asking here which noun is closest to the modifier. So our modifier was leaving Starbucks. What's closest to that? The latte. So this means that this sentence seems to be saying that the latte was leaving Starbucks and exploded all over the sidewalk. And of course, lattes do not walk. They do not leave Starbucks on their own. So that is what is making this sentence ambiguous and incoherent. Okay, so how can we fix this? There are a couple of ways. The first option that you have is to add the noun that is missing from the sentence, and you can add it after the modifier. So for this example, after leaving Starbucks, which is our modifier, we added, I dropped the foamy latte and it exploded all over the sidewalk. So I dropped. The leaving Starbucks is not referring to the latte, it's referring to the person who is leaving Starbucks. For option 2, you can add a noun to the modifier, which is at the beginning of the sentence. So here we added, as I was leaving Starbucks, so now leaving Starbucks is referring to this noun here at the beginning of the sentence. The foamy latte fell and exploded all over the sidewalk. So no longer in this sentence is there any ambiguity over, who is leaving Starbucks, because we've added the I. Okay, and lastly, you can rearrange the entire sentence. So I have switched here the modifier and the sentence, and in doing that, I have put the modified noun closer to the modifier, so there's no confusion over what is being modified. So the rearranged sentence reads, the foamy latte fell and exploded all over the sidewalk as I was leaving Starbucks. So again, who's leaving Starbucks is not unclear here. We know that I was leaving Starbucks. Okay, we also have a second example. So this example says, irresponsibly texting while driving, the young moose was struck down and died. So the first thing that I want to look at again is, what is the modifier here? What is adding detail to the sentence, and what is the complete sentence? So the modifier is irresponsibly texting while driving. If I took that part of the sentence away, the rest of the sentence would still make sense. So the young moose was struck down and died. That's our full clause. The next question is, what noun seems to be modified? What is closest to irresponsibly texting while driving? And the answer to that is the young moose. So what does this mean? This means that the young moose was the person that was irresponsibly texting while driving. So I've completely changed the meaning of the sentence by not accurately putting my descriptor words by the correct nouns. So this moose, he's just driving, he's chilling, he's texting, he's driving. That's not what this sentence is supposed to say. Okay, so how can we fix it? We can add a noun to the modifier. Again, this is option 1. So we've added the words, because I was irresponsibly texting while driving, the young moose was struck down and died. So now there's no confusion over who was texting and driving. It's not the moose, it was I, the person who was driving. Or you could add a third person and you could put a name in there. For example, John was irresponsibly, because John was irresponsibly texting while driving, the young moose was struck down and died. Okay, your second option is to add a noun to the independent clause part of the sentence. So here we added the words I struck to the second part where it says I struck and killed the young moose. So irresponsibly texting while driving, I struck and killed the moose. And then the last option available to you is to rearrange the sentence. So we're going to put that modifier back at the end of the sentence, and you'll see that that clears up the confusion. So it reads, the young moose was struck down and died because I was irresponsibly texting and driving. Okay, so now we're going to practice as a class, and we're going to take your 2 examples from your handout, and we're going to work on them together on the board. And I'm going to have individual students walk up and answer those 1 through 4 that we just went through on our notes.